Grab your cup of coffee, a glass of wine, or whatever drink your choice it is to get you through the day and settle in. Welcome to Momnesia, Mothering Like a MOFO. I'm your host for today's show, Jinx Scott. In the studio with me today are my co-hosts and co-creators, Tjada Butler, Farrah and Krista Garza. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
Hi.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. So just really quick, since this is our first episode, we want to introduce everybody to each other. So why don't we each take a minute? Farrah, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, since you're the most experienced mother out of all of us here.
Almost experienced as...
Because you have adult kids, that's the thing. We're all still getting our little teenagers up to that point.
I'm Farrah. I have 4 children, aged 23 to 17, and 2 grandchildren. And I'm crazy. Here,
I guess after 4 kids, I know the feeling.
So Tjada, since you mentioned the 4 kids, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself too?
I'm Tjada. I also have 4 kids, and my kids range between the ages of 10 and 2. So I have a wannabe teenager, and then I have a little toddler growing up, just trying to fit in with the crowd. So I got 3 girls and 1 boy. So there's a lot of tears in the household.
That was the household I grew up in. 3 girls and 1 boy. Oh
it's a beautiful thing, though. We have a lot of fun.
I feel for your son.
Everyone says that.
So I've heard stories from my brother on how it was for him coming of age. But
yeah, we should get him with Jaden sometime.
So I'm Krista. I have 1 daughter who thinks she's a little princess. She's 7, about to be 8, so she's getting into the preteens. So, we're preparing for that. You go ahead, Jinx.
Yeah, and of course, I'm your host, Jinx, and I've got a 10-year-old little mad scientist in the making, as my friends lovingly or fearfully call her.
Oh, my gosh. That so fits the profile.
She so does. She keeps me on my toes with never quite knowing what to expect, and I kind of like that with motherhood, not, always being surprised with different things. Can be stressful at times, but I enjoy it. I keep really busy. I think one of the things all of us have in common to some extent or other is that we are also working mothers. Some of us part-time, some full-time, some internships, but we learn to manage to balance that. For today's show, we're actually going to dig into some great topics that don't have to do with balancing work life with kids. We'll get into that on another day. Today, we're going to dig into a topic that a lot of us are also dealing with lately. Our kids seem to be so obsessed with popularity at younger and younger ages than ever. At least it seems to me. I don't remember being obsessed at those ages. Later on, we're also going to discuss the difficulty of maintaining relationships with our adult children, and that transition, or helping your child transition from teenage to adult years. Farrah's going to tell us how she's handling that with her kids right now. And to get things started, though, let's talk about the topic that gave us the title for the show, Momnesia, or better known, baby brain. Every mom, I think, has dealt with this, and if any mom claims to not, I think she's just forgotten.
Exactly. She'd just rather not admit it.
It never happened.
And now, Tjada, I know for you didn't even realize this was a thing. You thought it was just you were the only one dealing with this until I brought up the topic to you.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until probably my last one. I knew that something was different or kind of wrong, but one of my coworkers actually pointed out to me when I was, at work, pregnant for the 4th time. I wasn't pregnant I wasn't a working mom during all my pregnancies, but for my last 2, I did work full time, and I don't remember what I was doing, but my coworker was just telling me, Tjada, you must have pregnancy brain. And I'm like, what? What is that? And she kind of explained the whole thing to me about how I wasn't alone and other moms go through this exact same thing too.
So if you're out there and you do not know what pregnancy brain is or momnesia, that is when your brain just seems to forget the little things that used to come to you so easily. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I forgetting everything? Yeah. And, leaving the house with only 1 shoe on, or, you're like, wait, you're 2 different shoes. And you're like, how in the world could I do something so simple. I know Farrah and I were talking before about some instances, even as a parent, where you forget things. Now, not just when you're pregnant, but it just keeps going. I think every parent has that moment when with school-age kids where all of a sudden you think somebody else is picking up the kids and you forget, nope, it's your day to pick up your child from wherever. Or you're getting out of the car and everybody sees that on the news where somebody's forgotten their baby in the back seat. And you're like, how could somebody do that? And then one day you're getting out of the car and you start,
and you realize
walking away. And you're like, wait, my child's still in the car.
I gave my own mother too hard of a time for forgetting things. Now I completely get it.
Oh my gosh. Farrah, what's your best forget about it story? We'll call this our forget about section. So
now it's time for
forget about it.
Forget about it.
My third child, my daughter, by that time I was like, ugh, I was so tired. I had 3 kids and it was in 4 years. So I had them all to myself. So we were going somewhere. She was 6 weeks old and I got my boys in the car and thought I put my daughter in the car. And we got to the second stoplight from our house and my son goes, "Where's my sissy?" I was like, "In the back seat with you." He goes, and I turned around and I'm like, holy crap. So I put the car in park and I jumped down. I'm like, she's not on the roof. I looked down the road. I'm like, she's not on the road. So flew back home and she was just sitting there on the porch.
It's like one of those heart attack mom moments. But
you feel so bad, but it's like you have to reel it in and remember, okay, one step at a time. I'm going to do this right now.
But, forgetting a baby's bad.
And it's like those moments that make you feel like you're the worst mom in the world and how could anybody do this? But it happens to all of us, maybe not the exact same situations, but there have been moments where each of us have dealt with forgetting something monumental. Krista, do you have a forget about it story?
So there was one time actually that I was coming home from work and my husband actually thought that he had left the baby with my mother-in-law and she forgot about it and she left and we came home and the baby was sleeping in her crib and nobody else was home.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
At least she was sleeping. Oh my gosh. And only a baby. Can you imagine a toddler waking up?
She wasn't out on the porch.
I can only imagine if Veronica, my daughter, was left at home alone and woke up and nobody was there, what I would come home to.
Well, and Veronica's how old now? So like,
but I'm talking about when she was younger. It still would have been. This kid at 3 years old, she was taking stuff out of the recycling bin and building things out of it with, and she's the kind of kid that's always been like from 1.5 on. If she would wait till she was absolutely like where she could not get herself out of whatever situation she was in before I'd hear her shout, "A little help, please," in a little baby voice, and I'd go and look, and I'd find her trapped on the counter because she was trying to get snacks out of the cabinet on her own at 2, or building towers out of recyclables, and now it's about to topple over as soon as she lets it go. So things like that. But that to me, I think Veronica. It's bad enough the stuff I find that she did while I was home that I didn't know about.
It's those things that you just
we'll get to those stories.
Don't forget.
And other
things you forget. It kind of balances out.
So Tjada, what's your best forget about it story?
It's like a reoccurring thing. It's more like a forget about it syndrome. I don't know how many times the school has called me at the end of the day. We have your daughter in the office, and the bus has brought her back to school. She can't get off because she can't get off the bus without her older brother. When you're in first grade and the older ones go and do activities after school, they won't let the younger people, the younger little students off the bus without like some sort of parental consent or somebody waiting there. So we always forget because Jaden, for some reason, I don't remember having that issue with him. He's taken the bus for years and I don't remember ever, having to pick him up. But that's sort of what we deal with from week to week. But I don't know. I remember my forget about it story from when my coworker first schooled me on the pregnancy brain situation. Now I was vacuuming. I was going to go do some vacuuming for work because that was part of my whole, job spiel in the morning, get the office nice and tidy because we were a smaller office. So it ran with my administrative duties. And I couldn't, for some reason, find the cord on this vacuum. I couldn't find the cord at all. I was sitting there just thinking to myself, I'm a pregnant mom. I was probably like maybe 3 months away from my due date. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be vacuuming, but I need to do it because we had some big executive or something coming in the office. But it ended up being one of those because it was one of those retractable cords. So I was just kind of like, what is wrong with this vacuum? And that was just about it. That was my shameful office moment.
Let's see, I've got stories forgetting, where, I thought her dad was picking Veronica up from school and her dad thought I was, or her grandparents, and you get that call from the school. And I'm like, one time I was at work and her dad thought I was picking her up and he's like, so I didn't get any of the calls from school saying, because I was busy and and they were calling my cell phone and not my work phone. And finally her grandparents went and picked her up because they had their number too. And her dad's calls me and he's like, yeah, Veronica was at the school, their grandparents. And he's like, I thought you were picking her up. I'm like, I was working. How could I pick her up? So that does happen. But as far as forgetting something so simple that has nothing to do with your kids, but you guys are going to laugh. Refrigerators, they have the water and ice features. I was at my friend Stan's house and I got ice from the thing and then I go and I switch it to water. So you push the button to switch it from ice to water. And so now the water's going into the cup, right? And it starts to get about 3/4 full. And all of a sudden I'm like, how do I turn off the water? Where's the button to turn off the water? And I'm like, guys, how do I turn the water off? And Stan's like, move the cup. And I'm like, oh.
What are you? Thanks, Phoebe.
But yeah, that's probably my most embarrassing. I cannot believe I just forgot that.
In front of people too.
Yeah,
when you have these just shameful moments, and it's
oh my gosh. Like I said, I think this is something every mom can agree on. It's something we all deal with. So we want to hear your forget about it moments. So we want you guys to go ahead and email us at momnesia, MOFO, that's MOFO, at gmail.com. So momnesia is MOMNESIA, MOFO, MOFO, at gmail.com. Send us your best Momnesia stories. You can also find us on Facebook at Momnesia, Mothering Like a Mofo. And hopefully we can share some of your stories on the air. We're going to be getting some great giveaways to send to anybody with the great stories that we're going to be sharing on the air too. So look forward to that, guys. Getting on to our next topic. We're trying to get this show popular. So this is kind of a contradictory thing, but we're going to talk about our kids being obsessed with popularity. My daughter's 10 and for the past year or two, I keep hearing how I need to make more friends. If I'm not popular enough, I'm going to have a rough time in junior high. And I think part of that is coming from stuff that her teacher is saying, just from parent-teacher conferences with her teacher saying stuff. I'm like, you have 5 or 6 good friends that you talk to all the time and hang out with, one of them since kindergarten. Jeez. How many friends do you need?
Yeah.
So I know you guys have kids relatively close to my daughter's age, if not the same age. What are you, Tjada and Krista, what are you guys dealing with as far as that? And what do you tell your kids when it comes to that?
Well, Adira was going through this thing where she was really struggling, and she asked for my advice because she was really upset about how, she has 5 or 6 good friends that she talks to all the time, but then she was like, well, I want to make more friends because, new kids are coming into the school and, I want to make new friends, but I also want to have old friends. I know I was telling Farrah about this and it really struck her. And, she was really struggling with well, I want to make new friends, but then integrate them with the old friends. And, the old friends weren't really accepting of the new friends. And it's not really that Adira wants to be popular. It's just, I think she wants everybody to just get along rather than just oh, I just need a whole bunch of friends. Mm-hmm. But I was talking with another girlfriend of mine about this and she suggested, perhaps it's the push of social media. And now that, we're in this age where, everything is, you can go be a stupid idiot on YouTube and you get all the likes and the popularity and you on Instagram, you put your hashtag of like your shoe. She said something about like there was like a hashtag about your shoe.
Yeah.
Like taking your picture of a shoe and then like putting that on Instagram.
It's sweet that Adira wants everyone to, kind of mesh well and get along and everything like that. I mean, with the push of social media, because it has a tendency to kind of break apart different groups that might have been once strong, but for different reasons, like, if they're keeping up with social media or if they've heard of different things that's going on, or just like in the loop of things that are cool with technology and everything like that. But the fact that there are still young kids out there who are pushing for like a unity rather than too much of this little separate cliquey.
Yeah. Everybody's in their own little niche.
Yeah, that's good to see. It's refreshing to see, in this generation.
So, I don't know, Farrah, your kids are grown up. Did you deal with this with your kids, or are you still dealing with this now, teenagers and adults?
Yeah, I think they always want to be popular. And what I see is that by certain ages, you've already made cliques. I mean, little groups of friends, and you don't even realize that you have done that. And then, as you get older, they change again, because then you want to. The friends that you let go, my daughter at least, are the ones that wound up being her best friends, which were only three girls, and she's still friends with them because she wanted to fit in.
Oh, that's rare.
She wanted to be
having
cool.
a lifetime.
But, she's 20, but she was like, the last couple of years of high school, she was like, you know what? I wasted a whole bunch of years. So, it was a struggle, though, for her to figure it out.
Yeah, I think kids get popularity and friendship confused.
Exactly.
I was reading on this article on Psychology Today where they defined it, and this is straight quote from there. Popularity and friendship are not the same. Popularity is political. Friendship is personal. Popularity is about rank. Friendship is about relationships. I think that's really important to try and explain to our kids and get them to understand that just because you're popular doesn't mean you have a lot of friends. It just means a lot of people gravitate towards you and want to be your friend, want you to like them so that they can appear cool because they're around you.
That's good.
Like my daughter, she wound up, trying just to fit in, and then in the end wound up, going back to the few friends that were real friends.
Right.
So, it's a sad cycle, though.
Yes. For myself, I don't remember ever really caring if I was popular or not. It didn't bother me, and I did not have a lot of close friends in junior high or anything like that. High school is where I just started, I don't care. I'm going from a class of 40 students to a class of 900 students. So I felt like we were all even level. Everybody's making new friends, and and I never really cared where I ranked. Yeah, as long as I had friends that I got along with. But I think we also need to help teach our kids that there are a lot of pressures that come along with being popular. So if popular is your goal, you got to think about what that really means. It's not just all of a sudden you're surrounded by friends and happy all the time. It's actually really tough on those people too, because you're dealing with having to find a way to please everybody, make everybody happy.
Exactly.
You're conforming to the group instead of being an individual. And that's a lot of times when people try to be individual, that's when they're not as popular when they're younger. But then when they grow up, look at Ellen DeGeneres. How unique is she? And everybody loves her, and she's popular now because of her uniqueness.
Exactly.
And whereas if you hear her talk about her childhood, she wasn't a super popular kid. She was a weird kid, so you just got to learn that, or we have to teach our kids that where you rank in high school, junior high is not going to define who you are for the rest of your life. It's just a moment in time, a blink of the eye.
Exactly. It could be gone before you even know it.
And my daughter is a very unique creature, and
to hone in on those things that make our kids different.
And she's very much will be why do I have to do this? I don't want to be like everybody else. And I'm like that. If you want to be popular, that's where the balance is. So trying to teach her that you can be your own person and have friends, but as long as popular. But if you want to be popular, you're going to have to get rid of that and lose who you are. They also have to keep up with current trendy things. Again, you don't get to be who you are, dress how you want. You have to wear what's trendy.
No
You
matter,
get instant,
and no matter the cost.
Yep, and you get insincere friends. You have to be insincere and pretend like you like everybody, even if you don't. And then you have people pretending to be your friend or pretending like you be just because they want to be cool. And you never know who your real friends are.
Right. I mean, yeah, that depends on what type of popularity or platform you're seeking. You know, is if you want to be popular, you just got to make sure it's for the right message and for bringing out the right topics to people and conveying the right type of popularity for a better cause. You know, like you were saying about how you might find the fake friends or whatever. You have to be going in a direction that's going to build a good thing for everyone. And then, you know, the pressures aren't going to seem so overwhelming. I mean, there are plenty of people who are popular like Ellen who are good. And I'm sure she knows now how to weed out the fake people or the things that aren't healthy for her, you know. So.
Yeah. And there's another thing with popularity that you have to keep in mind, too, or at least the kids should. When you are popular, you're also in the eyes of everybody. So people are paying more attention to you and judging you more. You're going to have people critiquing you more, commenting, especially people that get jealous of you because of your popularity. That, you know, so then that leads to more bullying too. So not just the unpopular kids are not the only ones that get bullied. Popular ones do too. So there's a lot of things I don't think kids realize that us as parents, we need to learn to help them navigate through and explain to them. And, you know, that popularity isn't as great as it sounds or it looks like.
It's definitely not everything. You know, you should really go for those people that, you know, are your true friends rather than the popular thing. You know, you want those 3 or 4 good friends that are going to stay by you. Because, like, even I don't talk to anybody hardly that I went to high school with. Like, I talk to maybe 3 or 4 friends, and then the rest are people that I've met after. So, and I was never popular, you know? Like, I was the weird kid, too. So,
yeah. We just have to make sure that they don't put too much value on popularity.
Yes.
Like, in, you know, a very Spider-Man-like thing. With great power comes great responsibility. Use your platform, if you're going to be out there reaching a whole bunch of different groups and people, make sure that you are putting a positive message to each other instead of something that's going to break down, especially right now when so many people are pinned against each other in life. So,
and if you look at it right now, the most popular people like Ellen, you know, it's because of how she's trying to help people and make people happy. That's why people love her and gravitate towards her.
Yeah, a joy thing.
Yeah. People that are demeaning, putting others down, they might get a little bit of popularity because of their negativity, but they don't retain that and get that as big a following, or people, you know, gravitate towards them because they're afraid of it. So I guess it's one of those topics that's an ongoing conversation with your kids to keep that open communication and letting them know that popularity isn't everything. It's not just, don't worry about the now and think about, and letting them know that things will get better in the future, right? It's something that we have to keep that conversation. And speaking of keeping up conversations, that kind of brings us to our next topic of keeping your relationship with your adult child, right? So as our kids get older and transition from teen to adulthood, how do we maintain those relationships with them, keep in contact with them, but also transition from treating them like a child and a teenager to accepting them as or teaching them responsibility as adults, but also like learning to let go of wanting to take care of them and do things for them, and talking to them as an adult as opposed to a child, getting into touchy subjects that you might not be comfortable with, but you would with another adult, and so you have to learn to do that with your kids.
It's kind of weird to do it. It's very weird to start treating them like adults, I'll tell you.
I know, yes. So Farrah, you're the only one of us that has dealt with this so far. So why don't you give us a little bit of insight on what you've done and felt have worked, or what you're trying to do with your children. So which one of yours are adults now? How many?
3 of them are adults, and then one's 17, but I have a 23-year-old and then a 21-year-old, sorry, and a 20-year-old. So, and my 23-year-old also has children. So, and it was easier to let my oldest one go, because he lived in Indiana and I stayed here, so it wasn't that intense. But my daughter, wow, that was hard to to still not call her peanut butter in the store and get yelled at. How's that? Okay? Because that's her nickname, and if I call her that anywhere now, boy, I've broken the cardinal rule. So it's hard because I see her as my baby girl.
Code. I don't know, my daughter, I call Butter, and I'm sorry, but I will be calling her that till the day I die. She's
Not in public.
my Butter. I'm like,
Not in public, though. Oh, no, you will get the look of death.
She will sit there because my family likes to call her Butterbean. That's in the South. They call her Butterbean. And then, some family up here will just call her Butter every once in a while. Friends will pick up on it. And she'll be like, Mom, could you please tell them that they are not allowed to call me Butter? Only you can call me that. So, she prefers V.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta, it fits. No.
I love Veronica. What a cool kid.
But, so do you set aside time specifically to speak to your kids or, have a meal with them or pick up the phone and call them?
My daughter actually texts me every day, and we talk at least every other day on the phone. So it's been nice, but it's more mature because she used to always be like, Mommy, I need or want when she called. And now it's like, I did this today, or I paid, and I'm like, wow.
Wow, yeah, that's
the maturity.
It's very
like
gratifying.
And that's what I remember. She's not my little peanut butter anymore. She,
she's blossomed.
She's her own person now.
I think about that kind of often. Did you think about that a lot when she was little, how you were going to feel at these times?
No. Really? Because I was like, I was a cool mom, I'll be cool with it. And then she's like, well, Mom, I got to tell you something. When she turned 18, she's like, I've got to wait. I'm like, I know, Caitlin. So, and it was, that's how we were, though. She was my little girl, so she was ready to tell me she had a boyfriend. I mean, that's kind of bad.
So, did you build up that relationship with her, though, as she was growing up, where you guys had a lot of open communication? Or do you feel
we had no problem being open with each other because, well, let's just say she's stubborn and very opinionated and has a very loud mouth at times.
So she has no problem telling you what she's thinking or feeling, in other words?
Oh, no. Nope. Her first baby picture, she came out flipping people off. No, I'm not kidding. I have the proof. I have the
mother-daughter relationship is already something that will be figured out these days. So
I was looking into it because, like I said, I don't have experience with an adult child yet, but other than being an adult child myself, which that at least we know, we have our parents and our relationships with them, which I wish I had a better relationship with my parents. We don't talk a lot. I go to their house maybe once a month, and and we don't pick up the phone to call each other. And I think I overcompensate with that with Veronica, trying to maintain that relationship now. So hopefully when we get to that stage. But reading up on this, I've read that, plan a time once a week for, being with your child or having a meal or coffee or something just to keep that connection and communication open. As they're teenagers getting closer to adulthood, giving them more responsibility, like making, if they need an emergency wash of clothes done, have them do it themselves. They're old enough to do laundry instead of just being that mom trying to take care of everything or making their own meals or,
But when they still live at home and they're adults, it's really hard to stop doing that. I'm telling you, it's...
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm just trying to get Veronica to do any kind of chores right now, but trying to get, to help them transition into that and being more responsible for their own self and learning to take care of themselves. So that was one of the things I read with helping that transition. But also, it had the analogy in the article I was reading about getting your pre-licensing, where you're, with driving a car, your parent is with you or you have another driver in the car to help you. So you're learning and doing the stuff by yourself, but you have somebody there watching you and guiding you and asking you questions, reminding you about things.
Really, I don't want to think about our kids guiding cars because mine just got his permit. And that's a terrifying subject.
At some point, you have to let them drive by themselves, and trust that you've given them enough instruction and help and guidance that they're going to be able to handle it on their own.
Being self-sufficient,
Yeah, so it's kind of like that with transitioning to adulthood. You do the best you can with giving them the advice and structure and letting them know that if they come across things that they struggle with, they can still talk to you and that you're going to treat them like an adult and not berate them, for acting like a child, So I think that's important, too, for moms getting to that stage. And we'd love to hear from other moms, too, on these topics. So we have started also a discussion group on Facebook, the Momnesia, Mothering Like a MOFO, the post-show discussion group. So if you guys want to join that, you can comment on things we've talked about on the show, give your stories, your advice too, if you have some advice for moms or stories you want to share so that other moms don't feel like they're the only ones dealing with the situation.
Share.
We share our situation, so hopefully you guys can relate to those, but maybe you have another story that might help another mother. So we want you to share those stories. Feel free to go to Mothering Like a MOFO on Facebook or join our discussion group, and also email us, momnesiamofo@gmail.com. So this
I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait.
I'm just getting used to the name.
Yeah, we are really glad to finally get this together. We've been in the talks for the show for a couple months now, so finally getting this together.
Working out all the kinks.
We've got some great topics and shows lined up and we're going to try and keep a variety of topics for each episode, so you guys know what to kind of expect from us going forward. We're going to try to deal with at least 2 or 3 different age ranges, or just parenting in general as we go forward. Next week's topic, we're going to discuss parenting styles, different parenting styles. There are so many of these out there, and we're going to discuss what ones we feel like we fit in, or whether or not we feel like this is a joke and there's no one definition for a parent. Because everything changes. So we're going to discuss that, and we want to hear your topic ideas too. Again, go ahead and reach out and message us at our Facebook page, Momnesia, Mothering Like a MOFO, or email us at momnesiamofo@gmail.com. All right. For Momnesia, this is Jinx,
Krista,
Tjada,
Farrah.
and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Keep on mothering.